Hello Isorropians, Charlie here. For those of you that have met me before, I'm a wellbeing coach with Isorropia and I have been for roughly a year or so at this point. In today's video, I would like to take a little bit of time to talk to you guys about the cycle of transformation. The cycle of transformation serves to outline and humanise the process that anybody is going through whilst they're trying to make any positive change. We can break down managing our mental health into two processes, active and passive. Managing our mental health passively means that we might be taking medication, which is useful in its own right, but won't be enough for all of us to feel well in ourselves. As we're probably all aware, a larger aspect of managing our mental health is active. Mental health issues can be categorised as having issues in our thinking and our belief systems. Our thinking can fuel our emotions, think anxiety-inducing thoughts, and our belief systems might tell us that we're not good enough, can't do this or that, and are a failure. Often, aspects of our thinking, routines and behaviours will be fueling these unhelpful thoughts and beliefs and won't be serving our mental health. Being active means that we need to readily get up, challenge ourselves and make deliberate changes to our thoughts and routines in order to transform our thinking and belief systems and therefore improve our mental well-being. This is the side that Isorropia wants to support you, the member, in doing. This type of change is essential for our individual growth, and the cycle of transformation helps to clarify the stages that we go through when trying to make any form of meaningful change. The cycle of transformation was first devised for people who were quitting smoking, but after contemplation, it was recognised that the cycle could be applied to any instance of making meaningful changes to our routines or our thinking. There are 7 stages to the cycle of transformation. The first stage is pre-contemplation. And this is the stage before we're even aware that we might need to make any form of change. The thought hasn't even crossed our mind at this point. Next comes contemplation, and the second stage occurs when we're aware that a change needs to be made and we're weighing up the implications, the pros and cons of doing so. We've now recognised the issue and are working towards finding a solution. Preparation. The third stage occurs when we've made a decision for the type of change that we need and have begun to change our environment and get ourselves ready for the change we want to make. Relating this to smoking, you might get nicotine patches, buy chewing gum, or make a decision to spend less time with people who negatively influence you. Action. The single moment when you take that first step into the new beneficial behaviour. Keeping on the smoking trail, this might be the first time you resist the urge to smoke. Maintenance. People often say that taking the first step is the hardest, but this isn't wholly true. Once we've started the new good behaviour, we need to maintain it until it becomes integrated into our lives as the new normal and is second nature. Some people may find that they immediately settle here, and hats off to you. However, we're all human, and a part of that means that we might occasionally slip up. This leads us to the next stage. Lapse. A lapse will be the first moment you fall off the bandwagon and go back to the old unhelpful way of living. You might pick up a cigarette or miss your regular exercise. We're all human and our best is going to change from day to day. If we can recognise the slip up for what it is, an honest mistake, then we can immediately take ourselves back into action and maintenance and continue on as before. However, if we're not careful and indulge ourselves as we step off the path, we can end up at the last stage. Relapse is when we give up on the good behaviour and go back to our old way of living. With the dangers of black and white thinking, we can easily think that all our good work of the past has been undone and view ourselves as a failure. We might think that we've gone back to square one, but this couldn't be further from the truth. A little pause and a jig. The cycle of transformation is called a cycle for a reason. We can go round it a number of times. Something which is often forgotten is that every time we go round the cycle, we gain a little something called recovery capital. That's to say that we gain experience which will make it easier for us the next time we try and get back to the action and maintenance stage. Every time we go round, we gain more recovery capital and it gets easier and easier. People can often assume that recovery is linear. We make changes, immediately get to maintenance, sit there permanently, things just get better and better. If you've managed this, I'd salute you, but secretly I'd be questioning if you're a robot. Recovery is not linear. It's going to have many ups and downs as we meet different bumps in the road. It's important to recognise this, and when we don't match our expectations, to get back to our new, better way of living and thinking as soon as we can. The more we do this, the easier it will become to maintain as we get recovery capital and this new way of living becomes our normal state. Recognise that we're all human and everybody makes mistakes. We won't always live in line with our expectations, and that's okay. When you fall off the bandwagon, extend compassion and understanding to yourself, employ self-discipline and gently bring yourself back in line with your expectations. How clip... It's going so well. Hair clip?
Hair clip is like a stop by. Where were we? Hair clip?
Hair, yeah.
Where was hair clip?
We'll start with, we just go with recognise that, because that's a bit of a flow anyway. Recognise that we're all human and everybody makes mistakes. We won't always live up to our expectations, and that's okay. When we fall off the bandwagon, extend compassion and understanding to yourself, employ self-discipline and gently bring yourself back in line with your expectations. How quickly we can do this will dictate at which point we re-enter the cycle, whether it be straight into maintenance, action or preparation. Success in this instance cannot be measured immediately. It comes from us being able to maintain good behaviour for longer and longer periods of time with fewer and fewer moments of the so-called bad behaviour. To clarify the cycle, I'd like to share with all of you a few times that I've been around the cycle of transformation. You all know that I love my swimming, and there's a good reason for it. I now know that it's something which keeps me grounded and helps to boost my self-esteem. Being physically fit has always been something which matters to me, and when I was unwell, I found myself not meeting my values or expectations around that. In pre-contemplation, I noticed I was putting on weight but hadn't yet found a solution. In contemplation, I decided I needed to change it and realised that swimming might be the answer. In preparation, I bought a swimming membership, some swimming trunks, and I asked a friend to support me in going. In action, I took myself to the pool for the first swimming session. Very scary, but I did it. In maintenance, I made a flexible schedule and made sure I went swimming 3 times a week. Eventually, I missed my swimming quota for the week. I'd missed a session. At that point, I had lapsed. Due to my black and white thinking, I indulged this and I had a full-blown relapse where I no longer went swimming. I eventually re-entered the cycle at preparation and started up again. Since then, there have been a few times where I've stopped swimming for short periods, but every time it gets easier to start it back up again and easier to maintain. We can also apply this to my quitting drugs. A little pause and I'll go back in. We can also apply this to my quitting drugs. Eventually, I came to terms with their impact on my mental health, and I managed to wean myself off of them with the help of our CEOs. It wasn't all cut and dry though, and they will tell you themselves that I had relapsed for a few months. With a little support, I was able to get back to myself quicker than I would have thought possible, thanks to my recovery capital. I'm now sitting in maintenance, and I hope to be here forever. However, if I ever were to have a relapse, I would recognise it more quickly and be able to get myself back to my clean lifestyle using the experience I've gained in the past and the support and understanding of my colleagues and friends. I've recognised that swimming and avoiding drugs need to be a part of my regular routine in order for me to maintain my mental health. This has become my medication, and by making these changes and maintaining them, I found that I no longer rely on antidepressants. Research by a gentleman called Dr. Stephen Alardi has shown that changes to routine and lifestyle can be more effective than taking medication, and this has been the case for me. The same will apply to the majority, if not all of you, and at the very least we stand to gain by making these important changes. I'm going to leave it here for now though, and as always, just a few questions for you team. What are some of the things that you do too little of? What are some of the things that you do too much of? And where do you think you might be in the cycle with regards to your mental health? If you want to put your answers in the comments section below, I will do my very best to get back to you. As always, look after yourselves, take care, and I'll see you before too long. Peace.